So Nintendo did not waste their freaking time with showing us some more Pikmin content, which they must have just been feeling generous that day, but yeah. We finally have some gameplay of Pikmin 4. But before we get into that, let's also talk about some of the other stuff that appeared in E3, because why not? So, Nintendo finally put Splatoon in Splatoon. There wasn't too much, notable in this ad. It kind of just gets right to the point. Doesn't really leave anything for, the imagination, except for the end. Although I think the most notable part of the ad was actually this moment, where I thought it was pretty funny.
Wave 1 Inkopolis launches this spring. Wave 2 Side Order will launch in the future.
Yeah, no crap. The next thing that we get is Magolor stuff, and to be honest, I really like Magolor, so this is cool and gives me another reason to buy this game outside of new copy abilities, and I really like Kirby Returns to Dreamland. This I don't think anyone was expecting, and also just feels really forced. Like, we put the Game Boy and the Game Boy Advance on Switch, which, okay, cool, but it just, in this E3 trailer, it just feels forced. It just feels, really forced and just pushed onto the Switch to sell more of the, online expansion plus stuff. It's cool, but it feels forced. I can't help that it feels forced. Although the coolest thing that we have is Mario and Luigi, so yay! Love to that series. Rest in peace, Alpha Dream, I love you. The last thing that E3 went to show us was more footage of Tears of the Kingdom, which I should just do an entire separate video on, because there's a lot to unpack in this one. Oh boy. Although, if I were to say anything about it right now, it would be big Bokoblins. Big! Alright, so now that we've got all the boring stuff out of the way, Pikmin 4! Woo! Bench. Okay, all jokes aside, the very first notable thing, for me at least in this trailer, is the baby Snagrets. Oh my gosh, I love the baby Snagrets. I've taken the liberty in naming them Snags, because that's just hilarious, and I love the baby Snagrets. Post them everywhere to a friend, just to anyone, please. I love them so much. So this is going to be the main protagonist of the game, which is the first time that we've ever had a leading protagonist that is female. She doesn't have a name yet, so, Sarah. Yeah, let's go with that. Another thing is this appears to be a tutorial area, and the very first thing to do with your Pikmin is pull down what appears to be roots covered in dirt, which is also probably going to be where you unlock some form of onion. Speaking of onion, oh gosh, what'd you do to it? It looks like candy. It doesn't look good. The old design looked much better. Go back to that. This just looks, it looks diseased. The next notable thing is there appears to be much bigger worlds, and actually gets rid of the whole sub-area thing of Pikmin 3, which I am very happy is gone. It was not great. Another thing that I love the change of is how the Pikmin follow you. They're all in their little box, and they just all huddle up and follow you. It's great. I really like this change, and it feels very Pikmin 2-y, which is good. Speaking of being Pikmin 2-y, man, I'm on a roll today. Wilting's back. So to those 5 Wilting fans, there you go. Your dreams have now come true. Another thing to mention is we're back to collecting treasures, baby. I actually like the treasures a lot more than the fruit, to be honest. There's just something kind of fun about collecting random objects around Earth. It's pretty fun. Something that's really cool, no pun intended, is the ice Pikmin, something that a lot of Pikmin fans have been wanting for a while. And I also expect that ice Pikmin are going to be added to Pikmin Bloom, so to all those Pikmin Bloom fans, there's your ice Pikmin right there. Yeah. I also expect there to be another Pikmin type outside of ice, so we're probably going to get like one other. I expect Thorn, which will have resilience to wind. Also, I have no idea how ice Pikmin are going to work alongside blue Pikmin, because it kind of feels like ice Pikmin are going to wind up overshadowing blue Pikmin, and I really like blue Pikmin, so I have no idea how that's going to work. It's probably going to be something like they can't really trudge through water, but they can freeze it. I have no idea. Another thing that gets added is the dog, or Ochi, I think that's what his name is. He can break through stuff, he can trudge through water, he can pull stuff. It's just kind of really cool, and also overshadows the blue Pikmin yet again. I have no idea what purpose blue Pikmin is going to have in this game, because we've already had two things that can be in water. Oh boy. Another thing is that we get to see the other explorers, which, if I were to put in a guess, I would say that they aren't going to join your group, but instead just be people working on the rocket that had crashed in the background. And if anything, Louie and Olimar are going to join you on your group, alongside your dog Ochi and the Pikmin. Or at least that's a theory of mine. Speaking of Louie, doesn't that astronaut look a lot like Louie? I mean, he's wearing different clothes than everyone else too, so that could very well be Louie. The next thing that we see is a boss fight, which appears to be a bendy long legs mixed with a disco ball, which just looks very funny looking. I'm going to guess its name, which is the Boogie Longlegs. He also has an ability to make your Pikmin jump around and raise the roof, if you will. Oh boy, that was stupid. Another thing is the Empress Bulblax is coming back alongside all the Bulborb larvae. Oh gosh, I have some trauma from that. Also, judging by the fact that there's a bunch of air carrying you out of what appears to be a cave, caves are coming back, which, I mean, I really do like the caves from Pikmin 2, although I really hope that they change them up and don't make them randomized, but instead an actual, like, challenge each floor instead of just making each floor randomized, which would be very good. The final thing that we see is you going up in your spacecraft and everyone saluting you, which I'm going to guess that the main collectible of the game is going to be treasure and castaways, or other pilots that you have to find, which once you find all of the pilots and treasures to rebuild the ship, everybody just goes home with the treasure and the ship. But of course, this is not the end, because they're also introducing nighttime. I have no idea how nighttime will work. I'm going to bet that all of the hostile mobs are just even more hostile now, and even unkillable. I highly doubt that the onion is even going to be a thing down there. You're probably going to have a specific amount of Pikmin that you take down there, and once you have your specific amount of Pikmin that you are taking into the night, you just have that, and you have to stealth around all the Bulborbs and other things that will eat all of your Pikmin if you're not careful. Or at least that's how I think it will work. At long last, ladies and germs, we have made it to the moment of the video where I try to theorize plot. So, I'm going to say that the game takes place 1 year after the events of Olimar and Louie rebuilding the SS Dolphin and then returning home. After a while, Hockatate Freight had actually become a really big company. In fact, they have a lot of employees and actually aren't going bankrupt for once. And they fly a whole new team into space. After a while, no treasure or space team return. So, of course, the president begins getting a little bit worried that the press is going to wind up sweating on him, that we just lost a bunch of people because of treasure hunting. So, the president, being the president, decides to send up Sarah into space to sort of figure out what the heck is going on. When she gets there, she realizes that they crashed, and literally everyone is everywhere. Some of them are in caves, some of them are just sort of out in the middle of the open, and we need all of them to rebuild the ship, as well as a little bit of sparklium, and since we were there to get some treasure, why don't we get some treasure as well? Basically, we're combining literally everything in the game, which will be insane, but sure. Also, Olimar and Louie will be accompanying you as extra captains later in the game, because, I mean, what's a Pikmin game without Olimar and Louie? That's like having bread without, flour. And this brings us to the end of this video. What do you guys think about Pikmin 4? Leave your own plot theories down in the comments below, because I'm genuinely curious what else everyone else is, thinking about for Pikmin 4. I always like, sort of talking to my subscribers, and I'm curious what everyone thinks about Pikmin 4. But yeah, this is about it. Have a great rest of your day, and goodbye.